And I'd say one of my greatest takeaways is if you match up what's important to you to what you're spending your time on, all the domains of your life are going to work out pretty well, right? You're going to have bumps and bruises along the way, but things are going to work out really well. When you have a mismatch between what you think is important and where you spend your time, we're here at the Wharton School, that would be designing an experiment for failure, right? I think most people, when you look at it objectively, would say that, but most of us live our lives oftentimes answering the next email that comes in. We spend our time answering the next bump in the road that comes along. Our to-do list often gets crossed off with what's easiest to do versus what's most valuable to us. And so for me, the discipline of putting that stuff together and focusing on that, that's probably the top takeaway. We have a thing in my house where we try to sit down and do that on a Sunday night and say, here's what's important this week, here's where we're spending our time. There's usually a mismatch. Like was said earlier, oftentimes it's not a perfect negotiation. You have to make some trade-offs there. When we do that, though, we have a good week. When we don't do that, and I'm a married father of 4, and we have a newborn in the house, life can take its twists and turns, right? Things can crop up that you didn't see coming. If you at least have visibility into what those things are, you tend to manage it a little bit better. So how do you measure that? You measure yourself on effectiveness. Everybody here probably knows what it's like to do really well. And there's degrees of that. Everybody here knows what it's like when you feel like when you're at your best. How many people know what it feels like when you're not at your best? Anybody? For me, it comes from when I'm tired, I don't get a workout in, or I don't have that Sunday night done where I have my time laid out to my value. Okay? Backed into my sister is dating a guy, comes down to our house for the weekend. He's in D.C., she's up in New York. They're spending time at our house this weekend. I'm rushing around trying to get kids out of the house. I'm not at my best. I'm doing this. I back out, right? I got a garage. You back out and you drive away. Guess what's sitting there when I back out that's not normally there in the car, or normally there in the driveway? First thing I hear, bang. First thing I think is, please don't let that be a kid. Next thing I think is, please let that be my sister's car and not her boyfriend's car. Sure enough, it was her boyfriend's car. That's what happens when you're not at your best. You're rushing, you're tired, you're not taking, everything into effect. So grade yourself on effectiveness. It can be very qualitative, but it can be very quantitative as well. The last thing is write it down, right? Lou Holtz has some famous stuff about writing it down. Writing dreams down, make them real. Writing down goals, make them real. Write them down with a real pen and a real piece of paper. Crayon, marker, whatever you want to use, stick it up on the mirror. Challenge yourself. Put it in a place that you will see it every day. Don't put it in your phone. Put it somewhere where you'll see it every day and hold yourself to that. And I think if you think about the exercises you do here, they're not just doing exercises like many of the other classes. They're not just counting widgets and doing this and putting in a model and let's assume the demand curve, even though as a side note, that's most of what marketing is to figure out the demand curve. But it's not just that, right? It's not just that. Measure yourself on it, write it down, and I think you'll see, which is my big takeaway from here, every one of you guys is going to be successful, right? You're here at the Wharton School. You didn't come here to be average. You're not average, right? But how many of you spend your time walking around like this? How many people spend their time? I saw a person the other day in New York City almost walk in front of a bus. I had to stop them because and you kind of laugh, but you see it all the time. What happens is we forget to take the lessons of this, and we forget to take the fact that you're at this wonderful school with unbelievable diversity, unbelievable smart people, and you spend your time not connecting with those people. And this class is ultimately about connections and relationships and how you don't just use those to make your life better, but you use it to make other people's lives better. Challenge yourself to take advantage of everybody in this room, everybody you meet through the school who has a great story to tell. Well, when you're running your company, or running somebody else's company, or you're running something that's meaningful to you, you won't have to reach out to a headhunter. That's the point when you'll be able to reach out and use your phone. And then it's okay to use your phone, right? Because at that point, you're just calling up all the great people you met along the way and putting your management team together. And a lot of the lessons you learned here are the way that you enable those connections. So appreciate your time today, and really a pleasure to be here. Stu's one of the great teachers here at Wharton, and hope you guys have enjoyed this class as much as the people sitting behind me. So thank you.